Well, hello Internet and welcome to part 17 of my C# video tutorial. We're going to be covering a ton of things in this tutorial. We're going to first off cover the file system, file, directory info, FileStream, StreamWriter, StreamReader, BinaryWriter, and BinaryReader, so a whole ton of file I/O. And like always, all the code as well as a transcript of this video is available in the description underneath this video, and I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. Okay, so here we are, and you're going to need these two libraries right here to be able to have everything work. And you also may need to go into Windows, and here's Visual Studio, it's 2017, or you can use Xamarin, whatever you want to use. But you may find that you need to log in as administrator, and how you do that is go to More and then run as administrator, okay? But that's all for that, and everything should work the way I have everything set up here. Now, what I'm going to do first off is talk about how to mess around with directories, and if you want to get access to your current directory, what you can do is go directory info, and let's just call this current directory, and you can just go new, and directory info, and then inside of here just put a dot. Okay, so that's your current directory. Now, if you want to get access to another directory, you're going to do it the same type of way. You're going to go directory info, and let's say Derek's directory is equal to new directory info. And then, so that you will be able to use the backslashes, you're going to put an @ inside of here. And then you're going to just point to whatever directory you want to point to. So I'll go to my favorite directory, which is the Derek Vance directory in users, and everybody should have one of those. So what else can we do? Well, we can get our directory path. So let's come in here and let's output that information. So you'll just go Derek's directory like that, and full name, and that's going to get you that. And I'm going to output all this here in a second. We can also come in here and we can get the directory name for this. And to do that, you're just going to type in name. And what else can we do? We could also get the parent directory for this. So once again, Derek's directory, and then parent. Whoops, make sure that's capitalized. Parent, like this. And what else? We could find out what type of file we're pointing at here. So we can go once again, Derek's directory and attributes. And is there anything else? When it was created, I mean, we can get all kinds of things. I'm just covering some of the things you may actually need. And don't worry, we're going to get into writing files and reading files and all that here in a second. Just want to cover this completely. And that's for the most part everything. So let's run that just to see what that looks like. And you can see right there all the output that we have here for that guy. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. So let's go and let's do a little bit more. Let's say we want to, let's create a directory. Well, we go directory info, once again, directory info, and I'm going to call this data directory and equal to new directory info, and then once again the @ for the backslashes, C:, and users. And I am going to put this in my Derek Vance directory. Of course, put it wherever you want. And I'll just say C# data just to do something. Okay, so that's going to create a directory for us. And then if you create a directory, of course, you're going to want to be able to delete it. And to do that, you just go directory and, directory info dot delete, like that, delete, and then you're going to throw in whatever you want to delete. So just the same exact thing you have right there, paste it inside of there, and there you go. You went and created a directory and then you deleted one. All right. And up next, I'm going to get rid of this actually, because I want to use this directory in my other examples that I cover here. I'm going to show you a very simple way to read and write files. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a string array here, and I'm going to write it to a file. So I'm going to go customers is equal to, and let's throw a whole bunch of people in here. My favorite person, Bob Smith, and his sister, Sally Smith, and one more, how about Robert Smith? Okay, so there we go. We have all of those people. Hopefully I don't make the Smith family upset with me. So now what I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to create a string to a file. So I'm going to go file path is equal to, and this is just to save time, And then I'm going to, let's go up here and just grab this guy right here. So I don't have to type all that out again and paste that inside of there. And then at the end of it, I'm going to call this test file 1.txt. And then I'll just be able to refer to that instead of, typing all that out over again. So if I want to write the array to a file, I can just go file dot and write all lines, and then pass inside of it the file that I want to write to. So that's going to be the text file path. And then I'm going to follow that up with the array I want to write to it. And that's going to be customers. There we go. You just wrote to a file. Now, if I want to read strings from that guy, I can just come in again and go for each. And I'm reading strings. And I'll just call this cust in. And I can just go file, read all lines like that. And pass in what I want to read from. Whoops. If I can spell it right. Text file path is where I'm reading it from. And then I can output all of that information on our screen. So I can just go and CW tab is creating that. It's a shortcut. And inside of here, I can say something like customer, and just customer like that. And then the customer itself. And there we are. And I can run it. Whoops, what did I do wrong? Line 42. Oh, okay, I forgot to put the dot inside of there. Not a big deal. And now we can run it. And you can see that it wrote that information and then it read it back out. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. So that's an easy way to read and write files. And now that we did that, why don't we go and get a little bit of information about our file. So I'm going to go and do directory info again. And I'm going to call this my data directory is equal to new directory info. And inside of here, let's just go up here and copy this again. C data like that. And paste that inside of there. And there we got that. Now let's say I want to get all the text files that are in that directory. I can do so. So I'll just go file info. And I'm going to call this text files, and I'm just going to store all those in there. So I just go and point to my data directory again and get files that are going to match the format of pretty much anything followed with the extension text. And then you just type in search option all directories, and there that is. And then we can come in and we could output the number of matches that we received. So we can say matches and then follow that up with the just calling for text files length on that array. And that's going to give us that. And let's also come in here and output information. I only have one file inside of there, but it would get all of them. And to do that, I just go file info, file in text files. And after we do that, we can go and output some information. Say we want to get the file's name, we can do that. And we could also get the number of bytes in our file. And to do that, we'll just say file and length. And if we run that, you can see, oh, I actually have a couple files inside of there. So there's text file 1, 38 bytes, text file 2, 23, text file 3, 55. Okay, and there's the number of matches. Okay, so cool stuff. And now what I want to do is talk about file streams. Now a file stream is going to be used anytime you want to be able to read and write a byte or an array of bytes. So what I'm going to do here is create a path to a text file. So I'm going to call this text file path 2 is equal to and at. And do I have anything saved inside of there? Yes, I do. Look at that. So I'm going to call this test file 2.txt. And then let's open or create a file if it hasn't already been created. And to do that, you go FileStream. I'm just going to call it FS for short. And then you go File, Open, and then you're going to pass in the file that you want to open. So that's going to be that guy right there. And then afterwards, I'm going to say that I want this to be created. And I can just say create like that. And there it is. It opened and created a file for me. Now I want to save a string inside of here. Remember I said this stores bytes or a byte array? Well, how you can do this is we can come in here and do something like this is a random string. And what I'll need to do here is before I store it, I need to convert it into a byte array. And how you do that is you just create a byte array and call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it rs byte array. And then you go encoding default and get bytes like that. And then inside of this guy, you're going to put inside of there what you want to convert, which is going to be our string that we're going to be using. And then if we want to write to the file, what we're going to have to do is define the byte array as well as the index to start writing from. So we'll go FileStream write, and we're going to define the byte array that we're going to be working with. And then the index we want to start, which is at the beginning, which is 0. And then we're going to get the total length for it. So rs byte array, and then follow that up with length, obviously. All right, so we got that all set up. Now what we're going to want to do is if we're going to want to read data from it, we're going to change the file stream's position back to the beginning of the file stream. And then we're going to create a byte array to hold that file data. So let's just create one here. And I'm going to call this file byte array. We're going to be reading that back out of there. New. And this is a byte array, obviously. And then we will put in the length for it because we know what that is. And we can get it by calling length just like that. All right, so pretty neat stuff. Of course, all the code's in the description if I'm moving a little bit too quick for you. So now what I want to do is put the bytes inside of our array so that we can manipulate it and see what's inside of there. So I'm going to start at the 0 index, and we're going to keep looking for stuff as long as the byte array's length, or that I is less than the byte array's length. And then we're going to increment I. Whoops, what did it do? Went crazy there for a second. I++. And then inside of this guy, we're going to go file, byte array, and throw I inside of there. And then we're going to convert this to a byte and fs, and we will read bytes. So there's read byte. Get that all there. And then after we have this new byte array, we just pulled it from the file. We want to convert from bytes to a string and output it. And we can do that quite easily by just going encoding once again. And default once again, and here we're going to say instead of get byte, we're going to say that we want to get string, and we are going to use the file byte array, obviously, and we will output that. And what I do? Forgot a parentheses. There it is, made it happy. And then of course, after we are all done using the file stream, we're going to close it. So let's run it and let's see it work. And you can see that it wrote that file to, or wrote that string to the file, and then it received it and output it on the screen. Okay, so that's how we use file streams. So now what I want to do is talk about how we use a StreamWriter and StreamReader. Now, stream readers and writers are going to be best for reading and writing strings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another text file path. I'm going to call it 3 is equal to @ and did I save that? Yes, it did. Good for me. And then I'm going to go test file 3, and we're going to be using a text file this time. And then after that guy is created, we want to create a text file with our StreamWriter this time. So I'm going to go StreamWriter, just call it SW for short. And let's then go file once again, except here we're going to go create text, and then we're going to pass in the new file that we just referenced there. And then if we want to write to a file without a new line, we can just go write like this, and then we could say this is a random and put a space at the end there. And then if we want to write to the file with a new line at the end of it, we say write line like that. And then we can put sentence in there or do whatever we want. Okay, save that. We can of course keep putting additional data inside of there. So let's go and say something like this is another sentence. This is another sentence. And that's good enough. And now, well, if you want to close it, just call close on it, and it's been closed. And now let's open the file for reading, and we're going to use a StreamReader this time. I'm going to call it SR equal to, then we'll go File, Open Text once again, and text file path 3 is the text file that we want to use here. And there's a couple different functions we can use. Why don't we take a look at peek, which is going to return the next character as a Unicode number, and we can of course then change it into a regular old character if we'd like. So here I'm just going to say peek like that, and then I'm going to go and close those quotes off, and let's go and call it and convert it from a Unicode number into a regular character. And to do that, we're going to use our old pal convert and then change it to character, and then we'll go SR peek like that. We're also going to be able to read up to a new line. So let's go and just output that on there as well. And here we can do something like first string. Oh, it's also good to know that peek is going to return that value, but it's not going to, it's still going to stay at the beginning of the file. So that's something else that's important to know. And here, what we're going to do is get the very first string up to a new line. Do that. We go read line like that. And then we can also read to the end of the file altogether. So read the entire file in here. And here we will just call that everything, which is going to be everything that's left that we haven't already read. And to do that, we go read to end. And of course, after that's all done, we want to close the StreamReader. And of course, you guessed it, we use close. Okay, all set up, and let's run it again. And there you can see, peek went and grabbed the first T off of there, and there is that T, but it didn't eat it, you know? So this didn't come back as his is a random sentence, it came back as this is a random sentence. And you can see it ended because there was a new line there, and here it grabbed everything else that was left. Okay? So that's how to use the StreamReaders and the StreamWriters, and now I'm going to take a look at the BinaryWriters and the BinaryReaders. Okay, so the BinaryWriter and Reader are going to be used to read and write data types, which is, I'm sure you could tell, pretty useful. So we're going to go and create a new file here again, path 4 is equal to at, and is it still there? No, it isn't. Okay, whoops, everything's going haywire. All right, let's jump up here and let's grab this guy right here and copy it. And then come back down here to our happy place, paste that inside of there, and let's change that to a 4. And we're going to use a dat file here instead. So there's the dat file, and there we are. So that's the new file we're going to be working with. Now, if you want to get the file, we can just go info dat file is equal to new file info, and then you're going to reference the actual dat file that we just referenced there. And we can open the file using BinaryWriter like that. I'll just call it BW. And that is going to be equal to new BinaryWriter, of course. And we're going to use our dat file, and we're going to say open for writing. And we're going to create just some information we want to store inside of there. So I'm going to create a string called random text. And it's going to contain random text. You guessed that. All right. And then we're going to create another one called my age and make that equal to 42. And then we'll create a double, which is going to be height. And I'm going to have that be 6.25. And got all that set up. Now, if we want to write that information, we just go BW and write. And let's get some random text and throw that inside of there. And let's copy this because we got 2 more to do. And let's go my age inside of here. And also height. So there is height. Okay, so we have all that set up, and that's going to write those out. And we can then come in here and close our writer, our BinaryWriter. We can then come in and open a file for reading. And we're going to use the good old BinaryReader for that. I'm going to call it BR is equal to new BinaryReader. And I'm going to reference the dat file again. I'm going to say this time that I want to open it for reading, however. And then if we want to output the information that's stored inside of there, we can do so just going to the binary reader and say that we want to read a string from it, because we know we stored one of those inside of there, and we got 2 more data types to read out of here. So let's also come in here and say we want to retrieve the integer, and let's say that we also want to come in and retrieve the double. And then after we're done with that, we can close the reader because we don't need it anymore. And got that saved, and let's run it. And there you can see we went and grabbed random text, the string, 42, which is the int, and the double, which was 6.25. Okay guys, so that is a lot of information on how you can read and write files and a whole bunch of other different things. And like always, please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.